Well, hello guys. Sorry, I'm a bit messy today. I haven't had time for a shower yet, but it's the holidays. So here we are. Solstice, return to light. Excuse me. Finishing my breakfast. Had to take my husband's car into the shop this morning for some stuff. So anyway, happy solstice, return to light. A huge solstice this year because Capricorn, Saturn moved into Capricorn the day before, and well, Sun and Saturn are both still at 0 degrees of Capricorn, and apparently that last happened about 350 years ago. So it's not very common. so that's kind of momentous. So I did a call for my Planetary Magic Cafe free group, and so I've shared that recording with you if you want to know kind of the energies. But quick overview, and I did this on this panel call last night for EA Zoom meetings, where I got like this tiny little spot amongst all these other astrologers, and I was so nervous that I kind of babbled and didn't say half the things I wanted to say. But anyway, it's fine. It was all perfect. My words for 2018, or the phrase, is that it's, if it is to be, it's up to me, because we're and I could give you all the examples and things, but we've been building up to this. All our institutions are failing, and they're going to fail, a lot of them, and we have all these cryptocurrency thing developing that I am trying to understand, but I do know that it takes power away from the big central banks and back to people, which is surely a good thing. And I see more and more, like, we're in this birth canal of the age of Aquarius now, and more and more we're moving towards moving back to tribes, moving back to our local economy, even if it's kind of a global local economy, if you like, if that makes sense, and creating your own kind of little world rather than relying on these big institutions. So anyway, that's kind of how I see where everything's going. Now, one thing I didn't talk about on the call I did for the solstice for the cafe is Chiron moving into Aries from Pisces. Now, why is that huge? Well, I hadn't really thought about that, but with all this coming up about the patriarchy and all these, mostly, there are some women too, I know, but mostly men being outed as sexual abusers or predators, or incidentally, I do see them as victims of the patriarchy as much as women are, but that's beside the point. The one big possibility of Chiron moving into Aries is that it's about healing the masculine. Oh, hi Jenna, hello. So I do think that Chiron in Aries, and I'm just trying to get the dates for you. I don't even know if it's on my ingresses thing. It isn't. I'll have to put the dates in the thing. It doesn't really. It's in 2018. Chiron moves into Aries, back into Pisces, and then back into Aries again. And I do think, coming on the back of all this Weinstein stuff, all these men, more, all of that, I do, and even women that have done it, but it's their displaying their wounded masculine. Chiron going into Aries could quite possibly be about healing the masculine in our society. So that's one thing I wanted to add to the call that I did. So, you know, overall, I really do think that 2018 is going back to bringing back in the old ways more and more, but kind of in a different but reinvented way, which is very Aquarius. Okay. And one of the reasons I think this overall is that Saturn's moved into an Earth sign, his home sign, which is great. And Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius. Okay. And then Uranus on May the 15th is moving into an Earth sign, Taurus. It's kind of going to bring us back to Earth. Earth is more about the natural cycles and natural law and that kind of energy. I think more and more people are going to move back to that. You know, these cryptocurrencies, people are going to start working with them, perhaps more. I don't know how it's going to manifest. These are ideas, but you know, more kind of cottage gardens, more kind of, if it is to be, it's up to me, kind of creating your own little economy, less reliance on the man, if you like. So that's the way I see it going. Anyway, because Jenna has made it here. Hi, Jenna. I am going to look at your chart first, and I am going to do a journey at the end, but I thought I'd focus, because it's the solstice and the return to light and the new year coming up. I thought I would focus on really on showing you where the major things are happening in your charts, and perhaps a little overview. You know, it's going to have to be a little overview, because you know, it's hard to like go, well, great detail. So for those of you that are learning the astrology, and when I show you Jenna's chart, I'm doing Jenna first because she's here. Well, Jenna uses whole signs, house system, so it will look different, so don't get wrapped up in the problems of that. It's kind of our agreement to do the whole signs thing. Oh, hey, I see you put it on chat. So let me get to share screen. Incidentally, I have got the recording of last night's panel thing. I will share with you when it's uploaded. At the moment, it's still kind of uploading to my computer because it was like 3 hours long. If you have time to watch it, I'm about just before 2 hours in, my little bit, almost 5 minutes. Anyway, I'm going to kind of demand a bit longer next time, because just that little bit was like, phew, I couldn't say everything I wanted to say, and then I missed a little bit. And anyway, because I felt a bit panicked because we were running late, and I'm such a good girl, I like to keep to time. So anyway, let's look at some of the major shifts for you. Okay, so Saturn in Capricorn is all in your house, the 6th house of everyday work, how you mentor, also health and pets and things, if you have any. I don't know if you do. But I see really for you, and it's going to go over your Neptune too. This is really kind of getting down to it, and getting down to organizing your everyday kind of work, and building your own boundaries, and building up your work, basically. Kind of being a bit more focused and organized about it. Getting details down, you know, that kind of energy. If you've probably been feeling that coming already, Jenna. You know, you've had Saturn going through, or you had your first Saturn return with Saturn going through Sagittarius, so you've been through some major changes, as we know. And then, of course, Saturn going over Uranus, I think, brought the move and everything. How is the new place, by the way? You can type or you can talk, whichever. because you're here. So anyway, so that's kind of the area of life it's amazing, cool. I felt so good about that place when I just saw it. I just feel it's gonna make big changes for you. Then also we have Uranus going into Taurus, and that's right on your midheaven, your career, your mission in life, your career. So, you know, you've not been in the house long, but and that's May the 15th, that it moves into your 10th house, your public reputation. How are you feeling about your photography and everything, your creativity? And also, of course, Taurus is about building your own kind of wealth and things. I think, you know, you're going to have it's been getting a lot busier, cool, awesome. I think you're kind of going to have some kind of revelations over the next year about it, about how you work, who you work with, kind of thing, how you market it, how you are in the world. You know, I could see you, I'm not going to say you're going to become the next, I don't know, Annie Leibovitz or whatever, but you never know. But you get the idea, becoming more public about it, becoming a bit more out there. And the reason I also think this is the eclipses that we have this year are all on this Leo Aquarius axis, apart from, well, one is actually in Cancer and Pisces, but the nodes are still in Leo and Aquarius. And for eclipses, that's the important part, really, where the nodes are, as well as obviously the degree. But this is all about, you know, there's 2 in Aquarius and there's some in Leo. And it's really all about who am I again in the world, showing up, taking the stage, if you will, letting go of things that stop you doing that. So really, you know, I see 2018 has tremendous, let's just say, possibilities. All right. Okay. For your work and business. And, you know, you've taken that first step towards independence, really, by picking that house yourself, and it's in your name, and or that place, you know, that home. I see more of that coming. Do you have any questions, seeing as you're on? Because there's so much I could say, but and of course, Chiron moving into Aries, that's your 9th house. That's kind of your personal truth. Well, yeah, actually, because of course it's on this axis, all the eclipses. I think there could be some surprises there, really. You know, there's definitely relationship action, but it's really in the way of your relationships to really work should be very Aquarian in nature, very kind of more of an intellectual kind of meeting of the minds and things, not this kind of needy, mergy kind of power control thing. So I could see you doing kind of lots of dating and things, or meeting somebody really Aquarian in nature, not necessarily an Aquarius, who really kind of gives you the freedom to be you, but has that meeting of the mind, somebody a bit different, really. You know, Aquarius is really the alternative also. So really kind of looking for somebody who's not stayed, not kind of that kind of energy. You know, you've not Venus will be going into Aquarius this year, and will be traveling through your, well, I mean, it does every year, it travels through your 7th house, but some other things will be moving into Aquarius at the same time. So, you know, quite early on in the year, really, if anything's to develop, I think it's highly possible. But I think really next year's kind of about building up your own business and your economy, your work and things. Oh yeah, I'm not surprised, but Jupiter's moved on, really. You know, Jupiter's he's transformed your home life and things, and so yes, he's going to go retrograde. Do I have the Jupiter retrograde things? I'm not sure I do. Actually, let me build up the retrograde. Let me bring up the retrograde dates and things. So bear with me 1 second so I can look at the dates. So I'm not sure whether Jupiter retrogrades back to any of your planets or not. So let's find out when the computer moves. Let me just amend that a bit. If anybody wants retrograde dates and things, findyourfate.com is just fabulous because it has all the retrograde dates and things. Well, that's very Aquarian, kind of unavailability and distance and things. So maybe you just need kind of fun dates, not a relationship. You know what I mean? Not one where it's going to get to like kind of marriage and all that kind of stuff for now. Anyway, just let me look at these Jupiter retrograde dates. The site's coming up. Everything's very slow. Mercury station. Okay, so Jupiter retrogrades back to 13 Scorpio. So just back to your Mercury. So a little bit of revisiting some of that, I think, maybe. But not, I don't see it being huge because it's not exact. And that's in the middle of the year, next July. So July the 10th is actually the station direct moment where Jupiter stations right near your Mercury. And then he's off and moves on. So, and when Jupiter moves into Sagittarius, your creativity is probably going to go off the chart at the end of the year. So, any other questions while we're on? Okay, cool. You're welcome. So Barbara, our newest member, welcome Barbara. Barbara, your chart doesn't have all the asteroids on and things because you're in my class. I really need to redo your chart for this group, but for now, you know, we're going to see the major areas of life, and Saturn. For you, there's a lot of work emphasis too. Maybe you're going to actually start practicing your astrology. Yeah, no worries, Jenna. No worries. You don't have to listen to everybody's anyway. You'd be better off actually watching, or you know, you were there the other day, weren't you? Whichever. I'll see you later. And I'll do a time thing for the journey. Okay. So yeah, I was going to say you already watched it. You'd be better off watching the panel thing that was last night. 3 hours of it at some point. There's some really interesting information in there. Some really boring bits too. Some of the astrologers went on a lot and on and on. Okay, tonight. All right then. Okay, so Barbara, you're at 21 minutes. I will when I've uploaded it. Yeah. It's going to take a lot of upload because it's long. It's going to take a long time. But anyway, I'll get it uploading after this because I don't want to spoil this call by doing it. Okay. Okay, so Barbara, so Saturn into Capricorn also in your 6th house. and Uranus into Taurus also in your 10th house. So again, work, career, public presence, public space, um, um, how people meet you one-on-one, your mission in life and your everyday work. A lot of what I said for Jenna could apply. Also Uranus in Chiron into Aries in your 9th house, personal truth, possibly some travel, but really some healing around, and you've been feeling some of this already because your chart's made up that Saturn and Uranus and Aries are already in those houses, but you'll feel the shift in energy. So Barbara, I would suggest reading listening to the general call, and also taking note of what I said at the start of this about, moving into more earthy energy from fire. It's going to kind of slow down and be more about getting down to work, getting in touch with the feminine side, kind of. Also, the building aspect and the making solid kind of aspect. Now the eclipses are also in the 1st and 7th houses for you. So, again, really, it's all about you and how you relate to others too. Because you can't be you without the other, really. Well, you could, but you know what I mean. We kind of bounce off each other. So if you have any questions, let me know. But I would really listen to Jenna's because it's a lot the same kind of themes for you. So, Yasmin, hello. All right. Okay, so Saturn into Capricorn, 4th house of the home. And it's going to go over all your Capricorn planets, and you're going through a major Capricorn period. And a lot of this will be to do with your inner life, kind of creating those personal boundaries, emotional boundaries, all that kind of stuff. But I feel there could be something around the home. I know you've talked about moving to a different place. It's highly likely under Saturn, and with Saturn in Capricorn, it has a feeling of permanence, of finding your forever home, if you like, if anything is forever, and kind of really building this really solid base for you that's and fits you emotionally and physically. Okay, possibly with a garden. Then Uranus into Taurus is in your 8th house, the house of the deep psyche, the house of the shaman. Deep body work. You're going to probably take your kind of yoga work to a whole new level. I wonder if you thought about combining your yoga with more kind of journey work and things. Bringing all the deeper stuff into it. That's kind of got that energy. And also other people's money. Uranus going into Taurus. There could be an inheritance that surprises you or something like that, or something coming from somewhere that's out of left field, out of the blue completely. Okay, it doesn't have to be an inheritance before I'm not predicting anybody's death, but it's going to be something really surprising from the other. So there's that energy. Then Chiron into Aries. That's going to heal relationship wounds. What was it your friend said about marriage or something? And I know you don't have any intention of it, but it could be possible with all this kind of energy. Could really surprise you. At least a marriage, in heart. Let me look. The eclipses for you. The eclipses, creativity and groups, friends, kind of doing things differently. With groups and really kind of stepping out into leadership and creating things that are very much yours. Okay. And again, could be very surprising, some of them. So anything you think you're going to do now, be open to possibilities of something very different coming your way. Okay. Oh, and I didn't put the time. So Yasmin, you were about 23 minutes, I think. Maybe 24. Trish is at 27. I'm going back this time backwards because I always start with Angela. So sorry, Angela, you're at the end this time. Okay, Trish. All right. Saturn in Capricorn is intercepted in your 3rd house. You are really going to kind of find your voice this year and find your authority and speak about your expertise and possibly find new information. But your voice is going to become quite of an authority. I believe, I mean, I know you don't make it live to many of these calls, but I do believe you're kind of a bit of an expert in your field of work. And I think you'll be really kind of owning that this year and speaking about it, and maybe even kind of teaching others about how you do what you do. With Saturn in Capricorn, and not just 2018, of course, he's there for actually 26 months, I think. No, a bit longer, 27 maybe. I'm not sure. Can't remember. So anyway, it's all 3rd house matters. So, which is generally the voice. Okay. Uranus into Taurus is in your 7th house, and Uranus will then move towards your Sun and Venus, but not for quite some time. So there could be some surprises in some of your significant relationships, some surprises, shifts and changes. I don't feel it's anything bad, at all. I just think it's expect the unexpected with some of your relationships. Maybe some new and unusual, really kind of people will enter your life. And it's about brings money into. Chiron into Aries is at the end of your 5th house, but then moves into your 6th house of work. And then you'll be heading for your Chiron return at age 51-ish. So quite some time away. I'm going way ahead, but you should know that's going to be looming at some point around that age. But when it moves into Aries at the end of your 5th house, that's about thinking creatively and also finding more fun and joy. You seem in a really good space right now, and I think these things are just going to kind of add to it and increase what you're doing. And I think that also because the eclipses are on the 4th, 10th house axis. So your mission in life and your home life is going to go through some changes as you really step out publicly as this owning the expertise of what you do. Okay. Susan. $31. Capricorn into your home as well. how are things after that fire? Because I think this is kind of solidifying things in your home life and in your inner life again. I would, so I think Saturn in Capricorn is really going to be fun, not fun, good, productive, kind of very settling, bringing things, making things solid. So the home life area and your emotional life really kind of solidifying. Uranus into Taurus is very close to the cusp of your 8th house. Money, bringing surprises again, deep psychological surprises, also in deeply bonded relationships, some surprises, and some surprise changes. Oh, Yasmin, hello. I already looked at your chart. We could go back to it. Hi. There's quite a lot happening about relationships for you, Susan, this year. So expect the unexpected in that way. There could be some healing around relationships. You might end up with a partner in your life, even if you weren't really looking. And also creativity and taking the lead. I hope you're still painting. I don't know what's going on with your life at the moment, Susan. I missed you. But anyway, groups. One of the eclipses is very close to your Uranus. So there's going to be some other big sudden shift around groups of friends and your bigger kind of message in the world. Let me look at the chat. Oh no. Drat. Actually do want, so that was Susan. So let me know if you have any questions, Susan. Okay, I just want to whiz back to Yasmin's, and I do want to say before this Saturn into Capricorn, one thing I've really noticed so many people on Facebook sharing is that an elder that they know, and I'm not saying you're an elder, Yasmin, I'm just saying watch for bruises and bony things. I've seen so many people saying that their parent or an elder in their life has fallen and broken their hip. It's like unbelievable how many people are saying it, because Saturn, Capricorn is bones. Okay, bones. So just be aware of that, and if it doesn't feel healed in a few days, maybe go and get it checked out, because there's a lot of bone stuff going on at the moment. Okay. So basically, I was talking in your chart, Yasmin, about Saturn and Capricorn going through the house of the home there, and I think you'll probably move and create like a really firm, solid base for your life. I know you've talked about it, but also Uranus into Taurus and Chiron into Aries. That's your relationship houses. And I actually asked and laughed in the thing saying, what was that your friend said? I can't remember what they said about you getting married or something. There was something, yeah. Well, there's a lot of healing and surprises in the relationship houses with Uranus and Chiron. Uranus moving into Taurus, which is on the cusp really of your 8th house, and Chiron moving into Aries. Uranus is expect the unexpected. The 8th house is deeply bonded relationships. I really think the 8th house is the house of marriage. So you could just surprise yourself. So don't sit thinking about it because it's unexpected, because it's Uranus, and it could be something out of the blue. It could be, one of those things. Yeah, but you wouldn't do it unless it was right, though, would you, Yasmin? So, no, you wouldn't. So you're not just going to go with any old guy if you did, and, or any old person, whichever, because Uranus is unexpected. Good. So, you know, it's got that kind of energy. But either way, there's a lot of action in the relationship houses. And bear in mind, these things are strongest when they cross over the cusp. So I can't remember the date Chiron goes into Aries, so I might have to look up that date in a second. But Uranus goes into Taurus on May the 15th, but it won't cross your cusp for quite a while because it goes forward, back again, and forward. So it could even be into 2019 that. But there's a lot of and you know, that's beyond the scope of this mini reading. This is kind of a general overview. But you know, relationships, there's a lot of focus. Okay. And healing with Chiron going into Aries in your 7th house, healing in all your significant relationships, really. And I mentioned at the start of the call that Chiron into Aries, we kind of discussed it on that panel last night that I was on. Is really, and you probably won't hear my bit about it because it was in I was typing in the chat box, somebody else was talking about it, but it's about healing the masculine, really. And you know, I don't know what your past relationships have been like. I don't hold this all in my memory, but you're attracted to kind of very direct, very manly men, I think, when you have been. And they're not always the most pleasant to be around. So I think there's a lot of healing around that to come. And about that part in you too, because the 7th house is kind of mirror work. Now the eclipses are on your 11th. And I also said about Uranus going into... Really? Okay. Wow. Well, maybe you need to look for the more kind of type A Ariesy man, but one who's got... It's interesting. You've actually gone for the men who fit your rising sign, the Libra neediness, rather than the not needy Aries energy. I also said in the reading, and I'll go over it again, and I will move on to other people again then, but Uranus in Taurus in the 8th house can also mean, because Taurus is about money and the body, so you could meet somebody who's got money too, but also like at a personal level. I wondered about whether you'd thought about bringing kind of shamanic journey work and things into your yoga, because it's it's about doing things very differently and things, something like that. Okay, to make your own money. Yeah, well, maybe I'll do my beginner's journey work course, but to be honest, it's not that hard. Okay, so then there's the Libra, the eclipses are on the 11th and 5th house axis of thinking out the box creatively and taking it out to groups, really. So that kind of ties back to what we just said as well. Okay, so I was at Susan. Do you have any questions before I move on? That's kind of a real overview of the whole, we're talking about all through the year. Cool. Awesome. Okay, Rosie Rose. Why these charts save at different sizes? It's kind of weird, but anyway. This one needs to be a little bit bigger. Let me do it. There we go. Rose, Rose, Rose. Okay. Saturn, Saturn has just gone into your 7th house of relationships. So you're getting a lot of relationship action too, Rose. But yours is in the way of real grounding and solidifying and creating your boundaries that you need in relationships. I said that what's his name was a bit of a practice run. I think there's a good chance that you could meet somebody and it being really solid and lasting, kind of and I say this in the best way energy possible, kind of a bit, somebody's a bit father figure to you, who's very grounding for you, because you have all that mutability and excitability and stuff. It would be really great to have somebody who's really solid and grounded, who kind of looks after you, but not in that horrible patriarchal way. You get the idea. Just somebody who's really kind of the elder in his demeanor, at least. But it could be. But if you do meet that person, I think because this is about you as well, creating the boundaries that you need to meet that person who could last. But it would be really lasting. Capricorn and Saturn are about things that really last, which is why with that, like with Yasmin, it's through the house, the home, and things like that. It's things that are set in stone, if you like. So that's the Saturn. Uranus in Taurus will go into, it's right in the middle of your 11th house of kind of groups of friends, organizations, things like that. Perhaps a whole new job that's very different. Okay. Something very different. And it's going into Taurus, which really is like nature and gardening and the manifest. I really still see you working with the earth at some point, or as well as your writing, of course. So maybe a whole different, it could be a company that's kind of got more connection with that. But anyway, there's going to be, when Uranus goes into Taurus, we're going to feel a big shift around money, everything that's kind of connected with Taurusy things, manifest the nature. Anyway, I'm not going to repeat all the things I said on that other call. There's still that energy. If it is to be, it's up to me. That doesn't mean, that doesn't mean you have to work for yourself, but it's about creating an economy for you that doesn't rely on the man. Okay. Chiron into Aries. You will feel it for sure. It's going to go over your Mercury first, so there's some kind of healing through your writing for sure. When it moves into Aries, it's not near a cusp for you. You'll feel it, but it is about healing the masculine generationally. So, and because it's in the house of your career, it might be, be a bit of a shift in who you are, in your work, in your public kind of mission in life, in your career. The eclipses, they are mostly going to be in the house of your voice and your 9th house of truth. All that writing, there's going to be some big, profound truths spoken. Because there's the 9th house emphasis with some of the eclipses, some of it is probably going to be around the cultural shit we have here in Utah that you were brought up in. So, and Rose, I didn't put the time, so I'm going to approximate it about 41 minutes. Of course, all of you ask me if there's going to be any questions. Okay. 45. Paula, my love. Well, Saturn in Capricorn is going to be going over your ascendant. He's at 0 now. So it's probably going to be, 9 degrees. It's going to be towards the middle of next year. You'll be starting to feel it now. Saturn going in over your ascendant is huge. It's going over mine too. though I'm a kind of a bit ahead of you. This is, and you know, I've kind of made it laugh, but I have been, you know, being invited to speak on these astrology webcasts and this panel. It's really about saying, here I am in the world. I'm a freaking expert. I know what I'm talking about. Okay. So you've got that energy coming up for you, Paula. It's kind of really about owning it, owning I am this amazing healer. I am this amazing mentor. I am, for me, this amazing astrologer. You know, with not with the ego kind of way. It's more just this solid owning it kind of feel. So you've really got that coming up. Whenever an outer planet like Saturn crosses over your ascendant, it's really huge for who you are and how you show up in the world. So ditch the job. No, you will be ditching it at some point, but I just don't know exactly when. Uranus, when Uranus moves into Taurus, it's in the house in the area of the home. So, but of course, that's not just the physical home; it's the inner home. But there could be some surprises around that. You know, there could be a surprise move. You know, maybe if things start going really well. I mean, you know, it's not till May the 15th that he moves into Taurus. It's going to be quite a while before it hits. It could be the end of the year or even later into 2019 that it actually hits the cusp of your home. But it's also Vesta, which is the hearth. I think you're going to have some surprises. Who knows if there's some surprises money-wise and things. Maybe you'll end up buying and kind of solidifying things. But as I've said before, with others, it's Uranus. It's unpredictable. So I can only predict something's going to happen. I can't say what's going to happen. All right. Okay. Sorry. I wish I could. Chiron. Oh, man. No wonder you've been having a hard time, Paul. Are you about to have your Chiron return? Okay. Let me look at what year. I can't remember what you were born. 69. A little bit early, but it's got a bit of a dodgy kind of aspect. I'm going to have to look at that date. Hang on. Let me look. Chiron in Aries dates. Okay. Chiron. Oh, come on. There's a whole article here with dates, so I just need to scroll down to where we are now. So Chiron first enters Aries on April the 17th, then retrogrades, then goes back into Aries February the 18th, 2019. So both those dates, April 17th and really that whole period from beginning of April to the end of September, when Chiron retrogrades back over your Chiron into Pisces, and then back early into February next year, you'll be having your Chiron return. Now, the Chiron return can be a little painful, but it's about healing the masculine. Chiron in Aries, kind of the masculine parts of you, really, that are pretty hidden because your Aries is intercepted. In some ways, I'm not going to say all ways, in your relationship, you have the more masculine energy, and Dan is the softer kind of one. And there's going to be a lot of healing around that. But this is about your voice too, in your third house. there's going to be big changes in your voice and how you speak and the information you have coming in from the ethers, because Chiron is conjunct your North Node too. This is really huge for you this next year, with Chiron going over those two. Chiron return is always kind of a transition change period. We're kind of entering that the 50s, where we're going into our elderhood and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of massive for you, the healing that you're going to get, but some of it's going to be a bit painful around your voice, okay, particularly, and also around some of your siblings. Possibly there's probably going to be some shit come up around that. So, just be aware of that. Don't go, oh, it's going to be awful, because it's ultimately really healing, I think you understand that. Uranus into Taurus, I've talked about. Saturn, the eclipses. All right. On Jupiter in Scorpio. Well, it's going to go over your Mars and things. You're going to get your message out there in an expanded way, your shamanic message. It's time. Really. And maybe we need to have a chat, Paula, as we're just friends, and talk about marketing things. I want to share with you some stuff I'm doing, if you're open to it, so let me know. Eclipses, mostly around money. That's good. Your money. Dan's money. The other's money. There could be an inheritance. There could be money coming surprising. I have this really strong feeling you're going to buy a home. Maybe the one you're in even, but who knows? Maybe not in 2018. Maybe 2019, but it keeps coming. That little nudge. Creating the money to kind of buy. Caro. Let me write yours. Caro. 54. Saturn into Capricorn, second house, money. You are going to build up a good, solid kind of foundation of self-esteem, self-worth, and money, I think, personally. Saturn going in Capricorn is going to be really productive for earning capacity. If you choose, we've always got free will. We can just kind of completely dismiss these things, but huge. Uranus into Taurus. Uranus is going to bring some surprises around healing for you. And then Uranus is going to cross your south node. There could be some health surprises. Again, it might not be, necessarily that bad, and it might not be about you. But Taurus is the body. So towards the second half of the year, be aware of anything that doesn't feel quite right, and just know that you should get things checked out, really. Uranus, he's first going to go, and he's a very slow mover. He's going to end up going over your Lilith, which is going to be amazing, but that's quite some time away and beyond 2018. But when Uranus, May the 15th, enters Taurus, it's going to hit your Chiron right away. Whereas Paula was Chiron return, because hers was in Aries. This is Uranus. And Chiron is the wound, and you know that you have your eyes thing. I wonder if it could even be some surprise new technique that heals something like that. Just keep your eyes open around that, because Uranus surprises can be really good as well. So yeah, it's really interesting. But it's also around your everyday work going to shift. There's going to be some, how you mentor, how you set up your everyday structures and everyday work, Interesting. Okay. Chiron in Aries for you. It's towards the end of your fourth house, so it's going to have not much impact, the shift, until it moves into your fifth house, which is quite far out, and that's going to be your creativity. Not huge for you. Eclipses. Oh, Jupiter going into Scorpio. Well, Jupiter's in Scorpio, but during 2018, somewhere towards the middle, I think Jupiter will cross your ascendant, which is always fabulous, because again, that's kind of expansion of your power kind of thing, saying, here I am, in another way, different a bit to Paula's. But the eclipses for you are in your ninth and third house. So it's around your voice, big shifts, big changes, your voice and your truth. Your writing could shift dramatically, but expand and become kind of more powerful. And also you can be out on the public stage. And excuse my dog. Ozzy. Sorry about that. Jenna, I looked at because she was here first. So there's two more to go. Heidi's 58. Well, Heidi, you're homeless. Intentionally, in case you're wondering. She's okay. Well, that's funny because Jupiter's gone into your fourth house of the home, so you've expanded out into the world, but and that's going to continue. But I'm not going to talk about that because that's kind of happened. Saturn moving into Capricorn is kind of in the middle of your fifth house of joy and creativity. You're kind of going to build and solidify. It's not going to have any major impacts on your work life until much later, until about halfway through its time in Capricorn. But for now, there will be shifts and solidity around joy and a kind of creative productivity, if you like. Ozzy! And Aries into Chiron is in your eighth house of deeply bonded relationships and healing the masculine. Well, and I know about your relationship and your partner. I think you are kind of helping heal that side of him as well as you. So it's real healing in that deeply bonded relationship. Bringing healing for you both is kind of in that respect, The eclipses. Oh, is one of the eclipses on your... Let me have a look. The one is 27 Aquarius. Is 11. 18 Leo. The one on August the 11th is right on your North Node. And it's kind of time to take it's a solar eclipse, so it's a new moon eclipse. It's partial, but right on your ascendant in your North Node, you'll be really stepping into your karmic potential and kind of onto the public stage, if you like. You could even be, going around speaking around the world, because I know you're kind of homeless at the moment, but it's definitely kind of but also owning your joy and your playfulness and really projecting it out into the world more, even more, because you're always a very joyful person, I see anyway. But again, it's about you, your relationship with your partner, who is very Aquarian in his nature, whether he's Aquarius or not, which I know he isn't, but you know, it's all good. I feel good about this year for everybody, by the way, because oh, and I just realised I think I'm missing some people. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I will be doing a journey at the end. Okay. Yeah, go and rest it. Arse, I haven't heard that expression for a while. I'm missing some people here though, so I'm going to go into the group and get the members up. I think Lynn, I'm missing your chart. Anyway, but rest assured I will go back, and I will be doing the journey. I'll put the time up for that. So Angela, you are at 62 minutes. So Saturn for you. Oh, it's going to go right over you've just had Saturn going over all your Sagittarius stuff like I have, but now Saturn is going to go into Capricorn and over your Mercury in your second house. I see more speaking in the in your future, kind of more kind of or writing as well, you know, any kind of communication about the voice to prove your, or not prove, you know, you get the idea, your expertise. All right, you'll be kind of communicating your expertise. Does that make sense? Who do I have missing? Oh, Bonnie, Lynn, and Sakara. You're all missing. Oh, sorry, Angela. I will go back to you. I just want to write down these names. I don't know what happens to these charts. I've got a folder for the sisterhood, and I swear they somehow jump out on their own. But I will always make sure I go back to you, so don't feel like you're left out. Or I perhaps move them out to look at something else. And anyway, I'll come back to them in a minute, and I will get all three of you. And I know Bonnie had a question, so I'll go and look for that question. I wasn't very clear on what it is, so I hope it'll come. But anyway, you're going to be communicating your expertise for sure, and that's kind of going to increase and solidify all things kind of self-esteemy and money, earning the money-ish kind of energy. Uranus into Taurus is towards the end of your house of work, so some surprise around there. It's not, but it is close. It's an outer planet, so it's close enough to there's going to be some surprises, and in your significant relationships. Now remember, that doesn't just mean your husband. I really think of the 8th house more as the house of marriage, especially long marriages like you and I have. But in other significant relationships, there could be some surprises coming your way. And that can mean, you know, new people coming into your life who are very different to the people you've had around you before, that kind of energy. But, you know, it's kind of quite far away from it. So this is... I just want to give a general idea of where it is. All right. Solidifying the voice thing, the eclipses are in your 3rd and 9th houses. You know, that's kind of solidifying what I already said about Saturn going over your Mercury. They're gonna kind of shift things in those areas of personal truth. Also some movement and travel. There's nothing around the house. Nothing. Not particularly. Not in That doesn't mean nothing will happen. No. Okay. Anyway, you're in Chiron into Aries. In your is creativity. You're heading for your Chiron return before that, though. So kind of very much coming up. Chiron is going to be your Chiron return, and this is about joy, fun, creativity, the inner child, and your connection with spirit and whatever. Chiron returns are kind of the first in a series of events that happen in our 50s. Okay, because you're heading to your 50s. And so you're having your Chiron return quite a little bit early, like Paula, was it? Because it's got a funny orbit. Mine was at 51. And so you guys are having yours a little bit early. It's kind of the start of the aspects and events that happen that take us to elderhood that really starts at our second Saturn return about when we're age 58, and I'm about to have my second Saturn return. Chiron returns can be a bit of a painful time. They can be a little bit because they bring up the old wounds. It's kind of the energy of them coming up to be dealt with really almost one final time. I feel after my Chiron return, a lot of the shit from my childhood and all that didn't matter anymore. That's not to say it doesn't come up now and again, but really it's stopped affecting me as much. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt a little bit at the time. So you are going to be feeling your Chiron return for the next 6 months, really, Angela. So you could be going through a little, a bit of a teary time, a bit of time with some old shit coming up, but it's coming up to be healed. And a lot of it with Chiron in Pisces is kind of connected with that true Christ consciousness, the true Christ consciousness of, peace, love, unconditional love, compassion, that kind of thing. So I could predict quite a tearful time for you, but it's ultimately for healing. And I think, have I talked about anything else? Towards the autumn, Jupiter will cross over your Neptune. Your kind of connection, deep connection with the other side, the mystery, God, whatever you want to call it, is going to go through the roof, and you're going to be even bringing it into your work even more, I think. Okay, I think that's everything for you. Right then, let me find these other charts. And after this, I'm going to make sure I save them back into the folder that I have. Sorry about this, guys. So who's first, Bonnie? There you are. So Bonnie, you are at 70 minutes. Okay. And you say you've had a setback. So let's see if I can find your question. Go back into the group and to events, because I think you posted it in the event. Will this move me back from latest setback? Okay, well, I'm not sure what you mean by this, but let's look at, I'm trusting that the answer will come. Anyway, so Saturn. Well, you are right on your Saturn return. Okay, your second Saturn return. It's now at 0. Saturn is now at 0 Capricorn on this call. And Saturn returns bring major shifts and changes. And it's in your first house. So it's who I am. So Saturn can feel like a weight. So I don't know if you've had a health setback, because I'm not sure what you mean by latest setback. Okay. So especially at the start of the Saturn return, it can feel like a bit of a weight, but it can also be really good. Think back to your first Saturn return at around age 29, and think about what shifts you made going back then. Now your Saturn's retrograde, so I wonder if that's helping it become a setback. When Saturn moves past 1 degree of Capricorn, past 1 degree and 21 minutes, things should start to shift. And let me have a look for you when that date will be. Because I don't see anything particularly health-wise, so I want to look for that for you. Okay, days. Because I know when Saturn retrogrades, he doesn't go all the way back to 1 degree, so you have that going for you. So 1 degree, and what did I say, 21 minutes. So that's actually New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is kind of when you have your exact Saturn return. And after that, Saturn starts to move on. You're kind of lucky. You're only getting 1 pass on your Saturn return. But that might be why because I'm not sure what you mean by setback. So sorry, maybe I need to look at your personal profile for that. Because, Facebook's like, you miss a lot of stuff. So feel free to, ask me questions and tell me a little bit more detail if you want. But you are right in your Saturn return. So that might be why you're struggling a little bit if you are. Okay. Now, when Uranus goes into Taurus in May, that's in the middle of your 4th house, but it's more towards the end of it. So I don't expect any major personal shifts for you. Not major, nothing. Chiron into Aries is going to go towards your south node too. So, that can be some shifts for you around your kind of inner masculine energy. I've already said Chiron in Aries is healing the masculine. Because healing often brings up the wounds, and you've got South Node in Aries like me, which can be really like feisty, kind of aggressive kind of energy. And in the 3rd house, like me, it can be where we can cut people at the knees verbally, stuff like that. So there's going to be some healing around that, and an opportunity to move away from that particular habit. The eclipses for you. Oh, there's one of them is very close to your Mercury and your Uranus. You're going to have some real surprises around money too. Again, could go either way. Uranus is, but also around information coming in from your deepest psyche, and about how you earn your money, about other people's money. I don't know if there's anybody in your life who you could get an inheritance from, but there could be surprise money coming your way, especially around the eclipses, and especially around the one in August for you as well. there's just a lot around self-esteem and your deeply bonded relationships and money and other people's money. There's a lot going on that eclipse line for you. Okay. So whilst we do this, I am just going to put it in the the right folder so that I have it for next time. So Lynn, you're next. Lynn, 77 minutes. I do wish I knew how this happened. And I'll do the same with you before I go out, Lynn. Too. Lynn, for you, Capricorn. Ooh, you've got Mars, Mercury, South Node, and Venus in Capricorn. So you two are entering a really extended Saturn period because you've had him going over your sun too. And this is in the 8th house. So this is your deeply bonded relationships, and also, you know, your deeply bonded relationship with with magic, the world of that what's hidden and lies beneath. And when Saturn goes over a lot of your planets and things, it's often time for some kind of great work, something you've always, you know, where you, if you're on your deathbed, you go, oh, I wish I'd done that. It's probably time to get down to it and do it, really, especially because after that, when Saturn's done in Capricorn, you'll head for your second Saturn return. That's way out. But anyway, this is all starting in your 8th house. So all 8th house matters, all other people's money, deeply bonded relationships, magic, mystery, all that's hidden, all things Scorpio, all, you know, really deep, murky stuff. It's time for you to really get mastering that stuff. Okay. Incidentally, though, because it will, first of all, very shortly, really, probably in January, and the retrograde to it, your Mars, your energy might be depleted. Physical energy might be depleted. Okay. Uranus into Taurus. For you is in your 12th house. So that's kind of talking about connection with the more the cosmic soup, the mystery, that kind of mystery, not the psychological mystery, but the collective unconscious mystery. Some surprise shifts for that. Nothing major. It's not really affecting anything huge in your chart. Similarly, Chiron going into Aries is in the middle of groups, organizations, things like that. As I said, it's about healing the masculine when Chiron's going into Aries. So when it gets towards Jupiter and your Eris, there could be some where you've been asked to soften kind of the more masculine kind of sides of yourself. Nothing major again. The eclipses, the Saturn thing is your Saturn. The eclipses are in your home and public life, your inner life and your public life. Big shifts for that. Particularly, and this kind of emphasizes the Saturn. The August the 11th new moon solar eclipse, partial eclipse, is exactly conjunct your Saturn. So that's kind of adding to this kind of solidifying, kind of getting down to work and doing things your way and showing your expertise out in the world. It's in its own house as well. So it's kind of a really growth period for you, but growing while deepening, if that kind of makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to save yours while we're here too, because Okay. And then Sakara. I don't know how they jump out of these files, but they do. Okay. My lovely Sakara, you are at, and you're definitely not last, but definitely not least, 81 minutes. Okay, Saturn going into Capricorn for you. Well, it's just gone over your house of work. So really you're going to be continuing to solidify and grow your ambition and your and solidify your daily routine and how you work and things. It's definitely got a building energy in the area of your daily work, not your mission. You kind of know what that is already, but we'll get to that in a minute because there's something big going on there too. Uranus going into Taurus is towards the end of your career house, but it's going over your Ceres, which is the Great Mother. Now, some changes in how you mother others and things and your relationship with that energy, but that brings me back to this Chiron going into Aries. It's going to go right over the top of your chart, your mission, your midheaven, your career, your real hope in life. Now, you're very much a leader and you kind of are I know best, I tell you what it's going to do. Now, Chiron going into that is healing that masculine kind of energy and softening it a little bit. So but it's also gonna heal a lot of the wounds around you know, I know your story where you've been about where you've stepped out into leadership before and it's not worked. It's going to be healing around that. The eclipses for you are in money houses, self-esteem and money. And that's only a good thing. That's bringing resets, shifts. It's going to be a good year for you. I think it's going to be a good year for all of us personally, even when the whole world seems to be. If you can just focus on if it is to be, it's up to me. All of us, this is. And don't get wrapped up in what's happening with all the government and stock market and all that kind of stuff, because really, unless you are a massive stock market investor, you know, I think the little people are going to be affected less than this. If you like, you know, not but the general people. We have that energy coming up. I think it's going to be a good year for you generally, Sakara. Okay, you don't have any major returns in 2018 or anything like that. Generally good. All right then. So, I'm just going to save your chart in that file too. Hang on, I'm going to do a wheel of death. There we go. Done. Right, I'm going to stop the share. I am going to do a journey. And we are going to journey into 2018. You know, what does that look like, you say? I say, well, that is up to you. I would suggest it's probably a middle world journey, that middle world where everything's kind of fanciful and where you just kind of step through a door into it from your starting place, where I have my Teletubby hills and things like that. And ask 2018 what it wants you to know, what it wants from you with this. If it is to be, it's up to me energy. Ask 2018 what it means. Okay. You get the idea. You've done enough work with me to know that that's kind of like how I work. But We're going to do a 20-minute one again because I think you need it. We're going to do the one with a nice callback. I won't be here at the end because there's nobody else here. I'd love if you'd share with me what 2018 is saying for you, what it wants from you, what it wants you to focus on. To talk about what I've come up with already, I know that, well, Saturn's going into my first house and I'm having my second Saturn return. It's kind of funny. I've come into it with this. I am owning that I am an astrologer and I am getting out in the world and saying I am the astrologer. And it's started already. And I know that that's what 2018 wants more of for me. So that's the basics for me, but there you go. So here we go with the drumming. Ask 2018 what it wants from you. 2018 will appear to you how it wants to. So let me get the drum track going. It looks like I took you into another track. Apologies. I left the room to go and do something. Okay. Thanks all. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. And I'll set up dates for the calls going forward. Much love to you all.